Man, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of All In with Nate. Um, Jump right into it. The Falcons dropped their fifth straight game. And in another stupid way that they lost this game, too. What if I told you that the Falcons had 0 turnovers? They got 5 sacks on Bryce Young. Bijan went for over 100 yards. Drake went for over 100 yards. And we lost. Not surprising, is it? It ain't surprising at all. But again, the Falcons just finds a way to lose games that you just don't have any business losing. They had a 21-10 lead at the half and found a way to lose game. So at this point, I've been saying it for the last couple weeks on the show. I'm going to go ahead and jump into that first thing first. What are we holding on to at this point with this coaching staff? You need to make a move. You need to show something you need to show us something to make us feel that you're not happy with the way that this team is looking at this point. Because for the third consecutive week, you've been in a close game that you lost. 2 weeks ago, you lost to New England on a missed extra point. You got back in that game. Last week, Jonathan Taylor and company went crazy. You had a chance to win the game and then went to overtime and lost it overtime. You lose a second consecutive overtime game in a game that you had an 11-point lead at one point in time. It's getting to a point now where you're starting to see on a regular basis when you're going to lose a game. It's not even about if you lose a game at this point. It's how you're going to lose the game. The whole time in the bins, I sat there and was like, we're going to lose this game. How are we going to lose this game is the way that you have to kind of look at this team at this point. But it's now to a point where the Falcons don't even look like half of the time they're even interested at a certain point. And it's sad because you do have talent on this team. Bijan is one of the top running backs in this league. Drake London consistently has had a solid year. But again, you have these horrible moments in the game. Like, for example, today, Michael Penix did not have a bad game, but Michael Penix suffered a knee injury midway through the third quarter. And that, honestly, at that point, I knew we were going to lose the game because Kirk Cousins don't have it in him anymore. And I don't care for anybody that keeps screaming, oh, the receivers this. Yes, we know the receivers are bad. That's not even a question at this point. Kirk Cousins don't have it. We saw that in the Miami Dolphin game. But it's to a point now where the offense is so stagnant at a certain point, you can't even get him go. You can't even get anything going. So that's a big problem with this team. And again, it's multiple things that's wrong with this team. Kyle Pitts don't look interested at this point in his career. I'll be shocked if he's back as a Falcon. You don't have a true another receiver that is going to consistently get open for you outside of Drake London. Mooney is up and down week in and week out. Seals is not a good wide receiver. You don't have good wide receivers after Drake London. Bijan and Tyler can only do but so much, but even to a point now where the Falcons went away from what was winning the game in the first half. You were moving the ball with Bijan. They had over 100 yards rushing. But then you get to a point where once Kirk Cousins came into the game, you no longer even ran the pistol, which, by the way, I hate the pistol offense. I know a lot of Falcon fans hate the pistol offense just like I do. But at the same time, you go away from what was actually successful for you at a certain point in the game. And then they know what Kirk Cousins is incapable of doing, so they start stacking the box. So Carolina start getting stops. They start moving, get us off the field on third down. And then Bryce Young, if you are a true Falcon fan, you knew Bryce Young was going to cook us today. They had a bad game with him last week. I knew Bryce Young was going to go off today. I didn't think he was going to go off for 449, but I knew he was going to go off today. Because, once again, we are everybody's get-right game. And I know a lot of folks have their ups and downs with this defense. Let's be real about this defense at this point. There's talent on this defense. We actually can get after the quarterback, but you don't have, for one, Natron Brooks is a practice squad corner. He had no reason to be on that field most of the game. And Bryce Young completely picked on him. And I cannot wait to find out what is the statistics of when he was targeted in this game, because he was getting absolutely destroyed. Tet was giving him that work. Tommy Trimmer was giving him that work. Jalen Coker gave him that work. Xavier Legette, who's been inconsistent for Carolina, gave him that work today. So he got picked on most of the game. And then even outside of that, J.C. Bates has not been that good this year. You really don't have a consistent secondary at this point with this team. So the depth issues, you have injuries, but the depth issues and poor coaching shows in these ball games. And it's getting to a point now where it's getting redundant. It's happening week in and week out, week in and week out. And again, as I go back to the issue with depth, wide receiver, you don't have anybody that can consistently get you open. And Drake London, by the way, suffered a knee injury late in the fourth quarter. So in overtime, that overtime drive, Cordero Hodge, Seals, and Mooney was our wide receivers. There's nobody on that receiving core without Drake London that scares you. Pitts don't even care at this point. I'm just going to go ahead and be honest. I've been taking it easy on Kyle Pitts this year because I felt like he was going to show us something. He's back to what we saw at a certain point in his career. This guy is no longer capable of producing at the rate that we need him to produce at. So do not be shocked if he's not signed back, because I wouldn't be shocked. But again, you find yourself in these situations where the defense is getting over 500 yards for the second consecutive week. And at a point, I know there's a lot of folks that was like, if we get rid of Raheem and Zach, try to keep Ulbrich, there's been improvement in certain aspects. But this giving up over 500 yards of offense, that's unacceptable. Now, part of that has to do with the fact that this offense can't consistently stay on the field after a certain amount of drives. However, this defense have not been able to close several times this season. And I'm going to go as far as going back. We can go back to week one. They couldn't close the Bucs week one when, what's his name? Ikbuka got him for a game-winning touchdown. They couldn't close out. They had a chance to close that game out. The Colts game last week, you had a chance to get a stop. I'm trying to think of the games. The game was on the tip of my tongue. The Niners game, you had a chance to possibly position yourself to close that game out. You couldn't. And then again today, you had an 11-point lead. And in the second half, the Panthers made adjustments. That is the difference between why Carolina is 6-5 and why we are 3-7. And now we're in a position where this team might end up getting us, may not even win next week against the Saints, because Peters is hurt. Drake is not 100%. So now it's getting to a point now where, one, you got to figure out when are you going to win your next game? And two, why are you still sticking with this coaching staff this late in the season? This season is over. Let's go ahead and establish that. But it's a problem because now Zach Robinson is as long as Raheem is the head coach, he's not getting rid of Zach Robinson. That's the reality of the situation. He is loyal to a fault with Zach Robinson, and Zach Robinson has gotten progressively worse as an offensive coordinator in the National Football League. It's to the point where his offense don't even like it's real because everybody knows it's coming. That's one thing. Raheem, not that good of a head coach. We already can establish this. They don't make adjustments, and this is the reason why we're in this position right now. It's bad. And then you're at a situation now where you don't have your first round pick. Do not get me wrong. James Pierce Jr. is a solid pass rusher. We made the right move as far as getting James Pierce Jr. But now when you look at the fact that you're 3-7 in the Rams, who are looking very good, by the way, let's be clear about that. The Rams like one of the contenders in the NFC. I'm not saying they're going to win a Super Bowl or anything like that, but they look like a contender in the NFC. They have our pick. So they're looking at it like, shoot, I'm glad the Falcons are looking bad. So we get a top pick. But let me hit some of these comments real quick. And what's up, bro? He said, rebuild. This is a tough question because I don't really feel like we're in a position where we need to blow everything up. I think this coaching staff need to be blown up. I unfortunately think that even though he had a good draft, I think Terry Fontenot, the GM, could be a casualty of another bad season. I think that could happen in this case. So that's another thing. Then you're looking at the situation where you still got young talent. But here's the question with that. You got a new coaching staff coming in. You got certain guys like Jesse Bates is up for a contract after next season. Drake's going to want to get paid. Bijan's going to eventually want to get paid. Pennis is entering year number 3 of his rookie contract. So now it's getting to a point now where you don't really have the position to rebuild this team because some of your star players are now eventually getting to the point where they're going to want to start getting paid because they're producing despite the record. So it's a very bad situation to kind of be in because you got pieces on the team, but it's now starting to it's looking bad because you feel like you should be a little bit further ahead of the curve than you are, but you're on the verge of heading into your 8th straight losing season. Justin was going on, he said, fire everyone, man. A lot of folks feel this way, and I am not mad at them for feeling that way. Tell what's up, bro. Says seasons is a wash. Rams got the Falcons first. Mooney drops everything. Bijan has to juke 5 people to get positive yards. Listen, I checked out the Dolphins game, but as a season ticket holder, I'm going to go to the game. I'm going to go to the game just to go to the game because I already paid for the money. It's no point in me selling the tickets. As I told y'all the previous weeks, I'm not getting a profit off this team right now because, I mean, let's be real. Nobody's going to pay regular price to go to the Falcon game. It's ridiculous. Tev also said Pitts in the contract year don't even want the ball. Should have been traded for Pitts. Yeah, I mean, at this point, Kyle Pitts won't be on the team that season. So you might as well start looking at a future tight end at some point this offseason, whether it's a free agency pickup or whether it's in the draft at some point. But I don't think he's going to be our tight end after this season. Mike, what's up, my bro? He said, Terry, yeah, it needs – you got to show that you're unhappy with what's going on the football field. If you're in charge of the Atlanta Falcons at this point, because the more that you continue to keep this together, to keep going week in and week out, listen to Raheem Morris give you this BS explanation of we're going to clean it up. We're going to clean it up. We're going to clean it up. How many times can you say we're going to clean it up and it doesn't get better? You have 5 consecutive losses. It's not going to get better, especially at this point of the season. Now Carolina is looking at potentially getting this division title because Tampa's starting to fall apart. Now we're looking at potentially, if you lose to the Saints next week, you're in last place. You're now 0-3 in the NFC South. Carolina swept you. So now you are at this point, what are you saving with this coaching staff? I think Raheem Morris he should be a good coordinator on someone's staff. He's not head coaching material. And for a young team that needs pieces developed, this is not going to work any further. But the further that you continue to go into this season, you're going to cost this fan base to further check out on this team. And a lot of folks have already checked out. At this point, it's pathetic for what the Falcons are putting on the field week in and week out. Because it's one thing to be a bad football team and get smacked. It's another thing where you're out here leading in a lot of these games, you're playing in competitive games, and you're still finding a way to lose. I think we have seen this season. They find different ways to lose a winnable ball game. This is another game you had a lead, you blew it at the end. And it's starting to get to a point where it comes down to multiple things. It's not just talent. It's coaching when you get to that point. Because you're stalling out, and I cannot wait to see the statistics when I show it up here of what the difference of the game was. Today was a little bit better on third down, but we were still 4 of 11. They have not had a positive third down percentage in probably a month. the last game we won. But it's to a point now where this season is cooked. I don't really have no hope in this group right here. At this point, I'm just watching just to see what will they finish at this point. Because now you're getting further away from competing to now you need to just blow this thing up. Even if they don't fire Raheem Morris tomorrow or tonight at some point, he's gone when it's all said and done. You cannot come back with this coaching staff and think that this fan base is going to buy in 2026 because they're not. At this point, the season is over. And I'm not even mad today because honestly, after Michael Penix got hurt, I was like, it was slowly trending to a loss. Then we got the ball in overtime. We didn't do nothing with the ball, and they punted it off. I knew we lost. It was just, what could you do to make the stop to this point? But let me pull up this statistics real quick to kind of back up what we're talking about from the game. Starting off, I'm going to start with the team stats. So, first downs, Falcons actually led in first downs in this game. Third down efficiency, as we saw, the Panthers was 6 of 17, which tells you that your offense still, once again, fell into a situation where the defense got you stops. That's 11 third down stops in this game. We didn't convert, but only 4 of our 11. That speaks a lot. They converted 3 of 5 fourth downs in this game. Also, look at the statistics from this point. They had ran 75 more plays. 75 plays are 58. They had over 100 more offensive yards. Same offensive drives. Bryce Young had 450 yards received, passing, excuse me. But again, the stats, he didn't get sacked in this game. So the sacks kind of offset, the total. So as you can see what's going on with the game. We turned the ball over one time. We had the fumble on the kickoff return early in the third quarter. And as you see, once again, they lost the time of possession. I said every single week, you're not winning in the National Football League if you lose the time of possession consistently. And they lost it again. I'm about to go ahead. Let me switch this over and show y'all the box score real quick. Let's get to Bryce Young. Bryce Young had a career day. He was 31 of 45 for 448 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. He had got sacked 5 times. But even with that being said, his ratings was 123.2 passer rating today. Penix was 13 of 16 for $175, and then all of a sudden he got injured in third. As you see, Kirk Cousins, 6 of 14. He did nothing really for us. We didn't even have a sustainable drive half of the game. Rico down to 19 of 45. They really didn't do much on the ground. They really beat us in the air. On our end, Bijan had 104 yards and 2 touchdowns. Tyler had 3 carries. Penix had a run, and Kirk Cousins had a run. So you got back to run the ball, but you got away from it late in the game. From a receiving standpoint, Ted McMillan, man, let me give props to where it's due. Carolina fans, you made the right pick in the draft. This guy is really, really good. And once they get a legitimate wide receiver too, they're going to really be a problem. I can tell you that right now. They got a legit wide receiver situation. And as you see, Xavier Leggett had 4 for 83 in a touchdown. Rico Dowdle had 5 for 54. Tommy Tremble had that big catch in overtime, which put him in field goal range. As you see, it was a pretty even day at the office for the receiving corps for the Carolina Panthers. For us, Drake had 7 for $119. Bijan 4 for 39. Mooney was targeted 7 times, had 3 catches, but he dropped several passes. Pitts had 2 catches. He had 1 big drop. Seals had a catch. Alger had a catch. Cardero Hodge had the target. Showing these stats, Bijan had 96 yards rushing in the first half. Exactly. That's what that's what I go back to when I say we have an incompetent coaching staff to go away from what's been working. And he said Penix is on the same level as Dylan Gabriel, which is not. I think Penix needs a legitimate offensive coordinator. You need a legitimate coaching staff because he's not bad. But I mean, at the same time, I don't feel that one, he holds the ball too long at times. I feel like there's a lot of things that he doesn't check into as quick as he should, but he's a first-year NFL starter. So I want to give him another full season with another coaching staff before I write him off. But even with Kirk Cousins coming to the game, it was a little bit worse. I mean, we got away from the pistol. It just nothing was working at that point in the game. Let me get to this. Natron Brooks had the one fumble. Natron Brooks was terrible today. Let me make that very, very clear. There's a reason why he was on the practice squad. And they should have gave Kobe Bryant a little more. He should have had more reps in this game. And also, Agnew had a fumble. Mooney had a fumble. So as you see, this is a very unclean football today from the Falcons on the Falcons side. Defensively, Trevon Morig led the Panthers in tackles with Christian Rosenblum and Claudin Charles both being 1, 2, and 3. Nick Scott, Corey Thornton, they all had a decent day. Nick Gordon got a tackle for a loss. They didn't really do much as far as stats-wise defensively. As far as the Falcons, Ronnie Harrison Jr. had a really good day at the office playing linebacker opposite side of opposite side of Caden Ellis, because, of course, we're banged up at that spot. Jesse Bates had 8 tackles. I mean, to me, Jesse Bates did not have the best game. AJ Terrell had 6 tackles. He kind of had a little rough day going against, what's his name? What's the dude's name? Technically today. Caden Ellis had 5 tackles and a sack. Billy Bowman got a sack, and I actually thought that sack was going to put Bryce Young out the game, but Bryce Young is tough dude right there. He came back into the game and finished down this up. But Jalen Walker makes an impact each week. Lakel London got a sack. James Pierce Jr. got another sack today. Those rookies are continuously getting better each week. Kobe Bryant had a pretty good breakup also in this game as well, like in the second quarter, but they didn't really play him as much as they should have. Let's go to the interceptions. No picks. Kick returns is kind of even. Agnew and Etienne didn't really do much as far as kick returns. Ryan Fitzgerald was 3 of 3. Zane Gonzalez was 2 of 2. Hit a 52-yard field goal. Bradley Pinion punted the ball 5 times, and Sam Martin punted 3. So stats don't really show too much outside the fact that we got cooked by Bryce Young once again. So that's really what it is. But Atlanta goes to New Orleans on next Sunday. Hopefully they can try to find a way to beat the Saints, but who knows? They could lose to the Saints. It's very possible. But we're going to see. We'll see what happens with what this coaching staff, if this coaching staff is still intact this week coming up. Hopefully they make a move, but I don't really bank on it at this point for the Falcons. But let's see what happens, and we'll go from there. But until then, this has been a quick review of the Falcon embarrassing 5th loss of the season in a row to the Carolina Panthers to drop to 3-7. On that note, this has been an episode of All In with Nate. I'll be back on here to talk about something else not named Falcons at some point. Y'all have a good night and enjoy the rest of your day.